Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, in thy suppliant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, episode 48, Covens.
So I had a really messed up dream last night. I had a dream that I was pregnant with a dragon baby.
Oh!
Literally a dragon baby. And then I had a dragon schmishmortion.
Really?
Yeah, but it was like...
those.
Yeah. I mean, as one does. But it was really empowering. And I was like, no, not today, dragon. And I don't remember how the dragon got in me, but it was a dragon baby. And the dragon schmishmortion consisted of a bright tube of light going in my Jane. And then the nurse or whatever was all, okay, 1, 2, 3. And then it just went, pew. And it was like this little like warm, like little pill or something.
The
just
technology.
Went, beep. And I was like, oh, that was great. And that was it.
Incredible. Was the nurse a dragon too?
No, it was a person. So either I got abducted last night or I have a really messed up algorithm in my brain right now. I don't know.
It could be both.
It could be both. I don't know.
The last dream I remember, I was at Sunset Tan, where, and I haven't been there in a really long time.
God. I used to work at a tanning salon.
Really, when I lived in Echo Park over a decade ago, both my roommates worked at Sunset Tan. One at West Hollywood, one at Studio City.
Tanning bed culture is interesting.
It's so Los Angeles. And they were both named Katie, so there were 3 Katies in one house.
There's like Katie B, Katie with a Y. Yeah, there's a lot.
Literally.
Yeah. Wow. Well, welcome to Third Eye Bind. I'm Laura.
And I'm Caitlin.
And thanks for being here. You're listening to the number 88 podcast in spirituality in Canada.
So thank you,
Canada.
Canadians.
Don't blame Canada. We love you here at Third Eye Bind.
And you love us, and we love that for us.
Yeah. So thanks, Canada. Thank you for supporting us. And if you'd like to support us even more, you can join us on patreon.com/thirdeyebind. And you can rate, subscribe, share, tell more people about us.
Comment.
Hey, Canada, tell more Canadians about us. Let's get that fucker to number 50.
Yeah.
You know?
I love Degrassi. And Alanis Morissette.
I love Degrassi and Alanis Morissette and the city of Vancouver. Okay. It seems nice up there.
Okay. You could also wear our merch around town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
you can find at thirdeyebind.com.
Yes. And the link is down here somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And that's also a great place to submit the questions that you may have, those burning questions you may have for Laura and I, where we will read them and answer them on the show.
Oh, that's better. I had to move it over. Yes. So thanks. What are we going to talk about today?
Today we are talking about
Covens. Covens. Okay. Covens.
Curious. What card?
Yeah.
The cards.
The cards. What are the cards going to say? We are using the, as usual, Sirens of Song tarot deck, designed and created by me.
Third edition.
Third edition is a lavender with a holographic black foil.
Ooh, if you're not watching, you should be.
If you're not watching, you can watch this podcast. We are primarily a vlog-style podcast, and you can watch us in our lovely set with our new Squishmallow.
Mm-hmm. And our
sponsor
Magic
us.
Mixie. Yeah.
Also sponsor us. Yeah. Okay.
You can watch us on Spotify and on YouTube.
Yes. And you can make it big and put it on your TV.
Yeah, and we love it. Please take a picture and tag us in it.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, and it's really cool. It makes us feel like we're on TV. For real.
Call us Bravo.
Call us Bravo.
Call us Discovery Plus.
Call us Travel Channel. I don't care.
That's it.
Covens.
For some reason, when you said Travel Channel, I was immediately reminded that like Tara Reid had a travel show for a minute. Yeah. It was called like Paradise or something.
Oh my God. I need to rewatch.
A Moment in Time.
Tara Reid was a moment in time.
This is interesting.
Okay, what is it? Is it like, let me guess.
Do you wanna guess?
Okay.
Psychic exercise.
Give me, okay. Maybe should I just guess?
Yeah.
It's a major card?
No.
Okay, is it cups?
Yes.
Is it the 5 of cups?
It's the 4.
It was, okay, that's weird because I literally was going to say 4, but then I judged it. I swear.
Yes. Okay, that's what happened to me during our
Suits up?
reading the objects thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
oh, no,
"Dang it,
yeah.
I didn't say what I wanted to say
See,
because I
it's
judged
that-
myself.
The initial reactions come very quickly.
gotta trust it.
And I saw a 4 of cups. But I wanted it to be the devil card. In my head, I was like, I want it to be the devil card. That's why I was like, is it a major card?
So I pulled the 4 of Cups. And the song on the 4 of Cups is Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. And okay, you know what's funny is when I pulled this, I was like, this is about us.
Yeah.
Because before we sat down to film, Laura and I both confided in one another that we both had mini mentee bees last night.
Mental breakdown.
A little mentee bee as a treat, you know, as we
And then a nightcap.
navigate a little nightcap. As we navigate through the horrors of living in late stage capitalism, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I have no room for error. It's fine.
There's healing that comes from sharing with your community.
Yeah.
And I think that can be something that folks find when they turn to spaces like Covens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably one of the benefits. We'll get more into how much I do and don't know about actual Covens in a minute. But I would think that would be one of the benefits is to have a space where you get to be vulnerable and talk about not just the great times, which is important. We have to celebrate our wins, no matter how small they are, but also talk about the hard stuff, because I think the hard stuff eats away at us the most. And we find ourselves in that 4 of Cups because of shame. And it's like, oh, there's something wrong with me for feeling this way. There's something wrong with me for experiencing this. And when we open up to people we trust, we're all of a sudden, so many people are like, oh my God, me too. Oh my God, me too. And then you realize like, oh, I'm not broken. Like life is just hard. I'm not broken. So many of us have gone through this. And I think that's really, really beautiful. And one of the messages of the 4 of Cups, if you look at the Smith-Waite deck, there's a figure sitting in the grass beneath a tree and they have their head in their hands crying. And there's 3 cups in front of them. And right above their head, right above their eye line, if they only looked up, there's this divine hand handing them one more cup, that healing, that compassion, that wisdom that they really need. But in those moments, it's hard to look up. It's hard. But when we have community, I think that so often divine speaks with us through our friends and through our community members, and B, like when we have community, we can like get out some of that sorrow and grief so that we have the capacity to pick our heads back up again and see like, okay, there's still something worth living for.
Yeah. I think that traditionally, like the way that femmes like communicate with each other too is like, you know, the gaggle of geese. You know what I mean? The gaggles and the gossips and the that sort of commiserating about experiences. Or I think that's sort of nice when, for me, big if and when you find people you can trust.
Exactly.
Because it's hard. I've not had good experiences with coven like scenarios or other witch type people or pseudo witch type people. So the concept of like what you're talking about is very aspirational for me. And I do have that currently to some extent, like with you and with some other friends. So it's nice, but it's a very scary thing for me.
To open, absolutely.
The idea of covens and community, like being vulnerable with people like that freaks me out personally.
You touched on something that I think is really important.
What?
Is like how women, femmes, non-cis men who gather
Yeah.
and share information were often called like the gossips, you know?
Yeah.
But like that's how we keep each other alive.
Yeah.
And keep each other safe.
Yeah.
Is by being our little part of the community's like informants to
Yeah.
one another.
Yeah.
It's how we spread information that is concealed in other spaces. It's how we protect each other when we have people we can trust.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's an interesting. So what is your experience with like the word coven? Let's sort of get into that. Like a coven, a traditional coven.
Yes.
The word coven as associated with witchcraft.
You know, I love a research project.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, the word for coven in Spanish is aquelarre. And I think that's so cool and pretty.
It is very
I used
pretty.
to, when I was a clothing store wholesale person, one of my accounts was a store named Aquelarre in Los Angeles.
Really?
And I thought that was so neat. Yeah. And the
Oh,
couple
that's
that owned it was
beautiful.
really cool.
That's beautiful.
But I'm like, okay, where did this word come from?
Right, where did it come
Why is
from?
this a thing? So coven around the 1660s meant exclusively a gathering of witches.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the 1660s. Before that, it just meant a meeting,
Yeah.
a gathering, or an assembly. And it comes from Latin conventus or Old French convent.
Convent. That was really interesting to me. That it comes from the word convent, which
Yes.
is where the nuns are.
It's a gathering
Right?
of, it's the hen house.
The hen house. I love that. That covenant and coven are
They're all related.
I think that's
Yes.
very interesting.
And covenant, like there's that
The
vibe
covenant.
of making a pact.
Convent, that's what I meant to say.
But that's also
yeah.
related to
Yeah.
the same word. It's like a pact of
Yeah.
people deciding to make a commitment to one another.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. So then I was doing a little further research on like, well, how did coven come to mean what it means now?
Yeah.
And one of the chief proponents of the theory of a coven was English Egyptologist Margaret Murray, which
Margaret
already like an English Egyptologist,
Yeah.
like we have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much does Margaret really know?
What's Margaret's deal?
Yeah. Theft.
Yes, theft.
Cultural theft. Literal theft. In her work, The Witch Cult in Western Europe, which was published in 1921, this is where it really started to focus again on witches. According to her, a coven consists of 12 witches and a devil as a leader. The number is generally taken as a parody of Christ and his 12 disciples. An alternate theory is that witches have to have 13 members in their coven because it's, you know, the scary number, the spooky number.
There's really no set number. Like people, I hear like everyone I talk to that mentions covens always says a different number.
Yeah.
It's always like, no, it's 13. No, it's 12. No, it's 9. No, it's 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
9 was
I
another
think
number
it's
that came
just
up.
more than one, to be honest with you.
I think so too. I
Yeah.
think it's when more than
If you got some imaginary friends,
one
throw them in
witch
there. You got a coven.
gathers.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think a lot of these restrictions are probably placed on covens from outsiders. I know Gerald
Yeah.
Gardner and like Wicca, they're more
Yeah.
specific about stuff.
I think people have, different sects and beliefs probably have their own parameters. But
Yeah.
in general, I don't think there's like one size fits all.
No.
As with anything in magic for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it first became more mainstream.
Yes, more mainstream. And she's the one that really like applied guidelines to what a coven consists of.
Right.
But then it came out that later, like many students of witchcraft dismiss Murray's theories
Yeah.
on covens
Yeah.
as unfounded, which like, yada. And
Interesting.
covens are still active today. We still
Yeah.
see covens.
Oh yeah. Many different types of covens.
Many different types. I was surprised when I was doing a little research on covens that are still in existence. I mean, they're mostly pagan specific, which makes sense,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But they have cool names too.
They do. There's some that are even like lineage based. So they're like, if you're, they're like familial. Like if you're, you have to be like
You're the
It's
legacy.
like a legacy coven, which is that's pretty elite.
Cool.
That's pretty like a Nepo baby coven. That's so cool. I want to be a Nepo baby coven.
I guess that's how like one way to build
Like Charmed.
trust. It is like Charmed.
Yeah. The power of 3. I like the number 3 when I think about covens and witches and 3s and things like that. But the origin of that, I believe, comes from Macbeth, or the Scottish play.
Right, the 3 witches.
The 3 witches of Macbeth, like the idea of a coven being, or witches acting as fates, and
like the 3
from
muses,
Greek and Roman.
the 3 fates.
Yeah, like the 3 muses and fates, and that's where that came from.
Yeah.
And then you got Charmed, and like all
The
all
power
the
of 3 will set you free.
the power of 3 will set you free. And the Powerpuff Girls and things like that, where they're a little coven. Like I like,
so cute.
I there's something about that appeals to me.
But then when we get into the craft, it's 4.
It's 4.
1 for each direction.
Yes. So then there's that too. So I think I'd prefer a small number.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Light and tight.
Light and tight, because look,
It's hard to
it's
trust people
hard
in
to
these
trust
streets.
people. Yeah, it is, especially in Los Angeles, I think. Just because a lot of LA based witches that I've met are very like, what can I get from you? And when I'm done with you, I'll just throw you away. And it's more about becoming like the cult leader or the status. And it's all about like, people in LA, they say, we're untrustworthy and we're sketchy and shady.
Not us.
But us. But
yeah.
People do, they want to climb the social ladder, and they want to see what you can do for them.
Yeah.
Not what you can do for each other the goal
Communal
is selfish a lot of
yeah.
the time. And, that's just the nature of like the business.
Yeah.
But it does bleed into the spiritual community here that I've noticed. And it's very interesting. The word coven is used very lightly.
It's used very lightly. And this is making me think
to sell things. Okay, that's almost it.
And to sell things. I was a part of...
Have you ever been in a coven?
I've never been in a coven.
Are you
Because I am brown.
Right. But I mean, like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Why is it that covens is like a white pagan thing? Like, why is that?
I don't know.
Like, what? I mean, it might just be because of its like Euro pagan like
okay, wait.
narrative, and you know what I mean.
I think I know.
Go.
I think and this might not be accurate, and like that's
is
okay.
speculation.
Somebody correct me in the comments because I love learning things. But I've actually been spending a lot of time thinking about this lately. In many different global indigenous practices, like
I think I have an
magic
idea
is
too.
a part of spirituality,
Yes.
right? And we understand that magic is neutral and can be used in many different ways. And in many of these communities, the term witch, the translation of the term witch, right?
Yeah,
Like it
whatever it
has their
is.
own names, was used to identify someone who wielded magic in a malevolent way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no shade to people who are reclaiming the word now and want to call themselves witches now.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Love that for you. But I think that's probably a reason why, at least that's probably one of the reasons why. And then also there's a lot of, and Laura and I have talked about this a lot on the show, there's a lot of white supremacy
it's a little bit. What's that?
in like pagan spaces.
Because it's a white space.
Because it's a white space, exactly.
So therefore it's going to be there. It's
Yeah.
not any shade. It's just
it just is what
where
it
there are
is.
white people, there's supremacy.
Yeah, like
That's how it is.
That's how we got here.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah.
That is why we are here.
Yeah, I think that's just a
Yeah.
But you know what I was thinking too is in I don't know. Again, this is just me speculating, but like indigenous cultures, magic is like life. It's a part of everything, right? Therefore, there's no need to there's no need to form something and call it a coven when the whole community is ritual and it's already there and it's already accepted and it's already, and that's what's so beautiful about it, right?
Yes, that's a beautiful insight.
But then when there's a lot of repressed like religious context and when maybe where those things were, you know, witches were hunted and killed and yeah, that's really interesting.
No,
and then those
that's
things
really
you needed
smart.
to become secret and have these distinctions that were either put on you or
adopted
by you to be secretive and to be safe. And you needed to, it's very interesting.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's
Maybe
a really
why.
good observation. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, did the Druids call themselves covens? No, they were Druids.
They were just Druids.
Celts were Celts. Like
Celts
we had
were
different
Celts,
tribes and clans, but
when they're being encroached upon and murdered and killed and
when
you know
Christianity
repressed,
starts doing its thing
and converted, they need, if they want to maintain secrecy and maintain their magic, and that was likely a way, maybe it was a name that was put on them or sounds like it, or something that was adopted and like you said now being reclaimed as power, which is cool.
It makes sense. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Interesting.
And the whole like need to hide in the wood, like that's a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff was like in the dark, in the woods with the devil, and it's like just trying not to die in the woods, just trying not to
with the devil.
They'd rather be in the woods with those forest spirits.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to like Isabel Gowdy, the Scottish like witch who was. I mentioned her. I forgot what episode, but I read the Black Book of Isabel Gowdy, and it's her confessions, and it's one of the only recorded confessions. I think she's kind of with people and messing with them and saying all this stuff, but you know, I don't know. I think some of it's that, and I think some of it is like fact. You know, like when they say the devil, they might mean a person dressed as the devil and they just had a cool orgy. I don't know. But
or it could just be like
no
the
judge.
horned god. Or,
or whatever. But I know that she mentioned covens, and so that was a part of that too, and that might have been another reason why it's stuck around and sort of evolved how it has.
I think that connection to convent is really interesting. Too.
The fact that if you think about witches, the imagery of the classic witch, there's hoods, there's some sort of I want to say secrecy, but not seclusion of the self.
Like
in
protection.
Protection. There's covering of the body. And
we conceal ourselves.
And nuns are like cool AF. And then also witches are cool AF. And they have cool like black costumes with hoods. And it's like interesting to me.
I used to want to be a nun when I was little.
I only wanted to be a nun because of Sister Act 2.
Same.
That's
I love
it.
Sister
All
Act.
all of the worship songs that I know are only anything I know about religion is only because of Sister Act 2. Sister Act 2. That's it.
Back in the habit.
Yeah. I had no idea what the hell those songs are about when I was 10. I was just like,
but you were singing it.
I was like, praise Jesus. I don't care. This is
Your
great.
mom was like, who?
My mom's like, okay, that's cool. But yeah.
I also like to your point.
That was my ancestors trying to get me to
literally
learn
your Portuguese
Catholicism.
ancestors. We're like,
they're like, show her this fucking movie.
Girl needs some Christ in
Show
her
her
life.
Sister Act. Introduce her to Lauryn Hill, goddess of all that is good. I'm like,
amen.
give her a dance number. Give her some 90s.
Some Timberlands.
Give her some Timberlands and a song to sing.
And we got this.
She'll fall right
roped her in.
Fun nuns are the best.
Fun nuns.
Fun nuns.
I had some pretty awful nuns in Catholic school.
Yeah, I went to a Catholic preschool, and I remember they hit us and
Yeah.
stuff with rulers.
It's wild, the abuse.
I was like, wow, this
The
is
abuse
different.
crazy.
I feel like maybe I'm not going to go back to this.
I think also like it's what you said, growing up in an environment where magic is part of the mundane,
Yeah.
like it's a part of your everyday life. You don't really seek those types of spaces.
Yeah.
As I became more out as a magical person, like I found that other like witchy people started to gravitate towards me and wanted me to do things and do this and do that. And it's weird because the people who caused you harm were also the same people who caused me harm, but
Yeah.
we weren't even close yet then. We were still kind of getting to know each other. And
Yeah.
it really like turned me on. I'm like, I don't need anybody.
And I ended up being the same.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't like any of these pseudo witchy people
Yeah.
who aren't even witches. They're just whatever.
It's all aesthetic.
Predatory behavior and abuse. It's
Seriously,
fine.
predatory
No, seriously,
behavior.
they're abusers.
And extractive behavior.
Yeah.
And
Friends can be abusers too.
Exactly. Often.
Often.
Like it's people closest to you. And I'll never forget the night we were at your house.
Oh yeah.
And
I used to try and have group
Laura
activities.
was trying to cultivate the coven.
I was trying to cultivate some coven energy and a lot of, fellow people I knew in the biz.
Mm-hmm.
I would invite them and it was always sort of weird and
never
go
like
ahead.
when you and I talk. Like
No.
you and I sit together and we're like,
But there was this one. Well, this is an interesting story about how spirit can observe and speak on this. Because I was definitely getting vibes I didn't listen to about these people, and
Yeah.
Caitlin came
Me
over.
too. I just wanted
and
to be
also
like
Caitlin.
accepted. I wanted
we
friends.
wanted
I wanted
to-
community.
Whatever, it was very business
I wanted
oriented.
to get
for
invited
me.
to do events.
Yeah, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Caitlin came over and just started channeling.
Laura asked me.
yeah, like do a little moment.
Laura was like, "Will you do like a little thing
do a little channel
at the beginning?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." Do.
And then I forgot exactly what happened.
I can't remember exactly what I said, but the spirits came down.
And we were all like, oh.
And they were like, "You're full of yourself. You're like they were just
no, yeah, it was.
dragging Mike. You
Oh,
don't.
you- I
you must have
remember.
been inside or something
Oh.
with the dogs.
I don't remember, but
Oh.
what you said was, I remember what you said. You were like, you're all so selfish. You're all so selfish. That's what you said to everyone. But I know who it was directed at. It wasn't directed at me. And I was all
Dying.
we were like, you know when someone says something messed up and you're sort of like that's like not aligned with the mood. Like we're all expecting you to be like, yes,
Love and
welcome,
light,
love and
lavender."
light. And then you're like, you're all selfish. You're all selfish. And everyone was like, oh. And I was like, oh shit. And I
Laura
didn't
wanted
even
a real medium.
no, for real. And I didn't even like I knew it wasn't directed towards me, and I like kind of knew.
I feel like I was pointing.
No, you were I think you might have pointed
I
at
was
them.
channeling.
And I was all. It's funny because whenever I see people that are in covens, like I'm like, but like, you guys get along? Is that possible? Like, I
all
just
trust-
don't.
like,
do you
really trust
That
each other?
scares the ever loving hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because I've done it and been burned. And it took me a very long time to let those walls down a little bit and let people in. And it's
Yeah.
been a very nice experience. I think this podcast was the first step of me doing that.
Yeah.
But you live, you learn. It's fine, I guess, sometimes. But the idea that to be in a coven, you need to trust each other. I mean, to do magic with someone else is more intimate to me than having sex.
It's so intimate. Yes.
Like
I'm like, don't look at me.
I know. I'm all like the idea
If
of
my husband comes home early and I'm like in the middle, I'm like,
I don't even like I have to be get away from me. The dogs can't be barking. Like, I'm going to go in my little like 2x2 space I have. Yeah, I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't come in. I actually did a little spell with Mike. And that was actually
That's
fun.
really sweet.
He was involved.
Yeah.
So it was fine. But yeah, I was like, I need you there.
I needed to give
I needed an audience.
I needed to give offerings to the land of like where I live.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it in the middle of the night so that my landlord wouldn't say anything about
Yeah.
it. And I was like, Brian, can you hold the flashlight? And
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
He came outside and he held the flashlight for me and I did my whole ritual in front of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like, I was like, all right, Mike, we're going to do some weird and you're just going to support. Okay. And he's like, okay. And shit got real.
That's love.
The flames were doing stuff. But yeah, it was therapeutic and it's nice. I'd rather have someone, because I've questioned many times on this podcast. Am I a solitary practitioner? Yeah, I fucking am.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a business that does that, and I have community, and I hold space for acceptance of witches in that way, but it cannot be connected to. There's a difference.
Yeah.
There is a boundary. If it's a very thin little line, it's there, because I don't want to be in a coven. I have
either.
always in my whole life, it's been my little safe space. I'm very neurodivergent, and I need a lot of space for myself. And that's a part of it. That's a part of it. And it's very interesting, me like thinking about how much space I actually need to feel completely relaxed. And when I was a kid, like those were the times I messed with magic and the most like successfully. And like, I don't know, there's something about it. And it's not for everybody. Some people need people, and they need like, if you're a Leo, like I would imagine you like, maybe you're the coven leader. Like, I don't know, maybe you're the high priest or priestess. Like, that's cool, whatever, but I there's a time and a place for that for me to lead. But in my own, I could not, I don't need other people that much in magic. Like, I don't. Friends, great. Like this, great. Like little things, great. But I don't need that to feel whole magically.
Yeah.
I don't need other people. But some people do, and that's fascinating
okay.
to me.
Yeah.
It's fascinating
it's
to me because it's
cool.
so different from the way that I operate.
I was watching this YouTube video from like BuzzFeed where 4 of their
I watched half of that and I was like, I am tired.
I don't think I've watched anything from BuzzFeed since like 2009.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But it was kind of neat because they went to the Green Man store in Burbank, who might be carrying my decks soon.
Shout out to Green Man. They carry the Sirens of Song.
If I ever
They're very
ship
nice.
them.
We like Green Man.
Thank you, Green Man. But that's who they went to see, like the owners of Green
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
And they got to like sit in, they got to ask them questions. They're not Wiccans. And they got to sit in on like coven group spell casting. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like all these like
it was cool that they were willing
white
to
people
share that.
chanting
And having their own. I mean, that's
and running around the cauldron and doing I don't know. It was interesting.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Community.
I feel like the only form of coventry, I like that I would partake in is if I went back to like my ancestral lands and learned directly from like my ancestors or people of my ancestry that know more about that than me.
Yeah.
I would partake in that.
Yeah.
Or if it was I was a guest in a space somehow or whatever, like I would partake as a guest and a student for a short amount of time. But it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm committing myself to this. Like, no.
I feel you.
You know?
Yeah. I really, a little vibrato.
That's cute.
I really like doing magic
Yeah.
by myself. I don't mind like creating things with other people and like collaborating from time to time, but
that's different.
I don't know. I don't think it would ever be for me
I could
personally.
never be that. I don't. Well, look, I've been in like there's circumstance being in a coven.
It's like a
is
commitment.
different than being a part of a show or a cast or
Right.
it's a form of that. But like I've been in situations where I filmed things with a group of people that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was an amazing experience. I would do again with those people and I
Yeah.
trust those people. And that's just rare for me. And I'm still friends with those people and work with those people and it's great.
Yeah.
But, I feel like that's just sort of getting lucky.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what the casting process of things is about,
Yeah.
is finding people that have the right chemistry and things like that.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
Which is nice. I wonder if there's a process like that for actual covens.
Like,
Are there
do they
interviews?
do chemistry checks? Yeah.
Like magical chemistry
Like
reads?
a round table read?
Like, hey, all right,
Around the
Caitlin,
cauldron.
you want to be in my coven? Like, what's your favorite herb?
Like, what's the vibe?
What's the vibe? What do you, like, what's
Like, do you
the...
interview?
Yeah.
Do you rush?
Do you rush?
Coven rush?
Oh my God.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No,
I'm
no,
genuinely
it's
curious.
funny. No, for real. Like, or is it like just word of mouth? Like,
Yeah. How do you find out? Yeah.
how do you get in a coven?
Which also leads me to this idea of like, can online spaces where we commune be considered covens?
Yeah.
Like if you've got a tight knit group of online, I mean, for me, it was like the Tumblr days. That's where
Yeah.
my first witch friends came from.
yeah,
was
I
Tumblr.
think so. I mean, I think some people would argue that like being in a coven is like literally you do magical spells together and ritual.
Yeah.
And that's, if you don't do that, then it's not a real coven. But I
Yeah.
think,
I just want to hang out and shoot the shit
yeah.
and
I-
like talk about the magic we've all been individually doing.
yeah. I guess it's more of just like a
Friends.
community.
Yes, I'm just
Maybe that's the difference between covens and community.
Yeah.
Is that there's a direct difference between we practice magically with this group
Yeah.
of people and we just talk about magic and our experiences separately together. And
I think that's why I don't consider, like, I have a community called Moon Shadows.
Yeah.
And it's like occult education. And it's very much a community, but it's absolutely not a coven.
yeah,
And like not in a, like no shade again. It's just like we don't cast together.
Yeah.
Like we facilitate classes, we facilitate conversations, we can facilitate guided trance, but we don't
yeah,
do any collaborative spells or anything like that.
yeah. I think that's what a coven
Yeah,
is.
that makes
I think
sense.
using the word coven for funds
Yeah.
is fine. Like,
It definitely
join
has
my
been
email
adopted.
coven. Like I just
Yeah.
do that. It's just
Like I'm in
fun.
Captalia's
Yeah,
what is it called? Captalia's Business Witch Coven.
yeah. It's not a real
Discord.
coven. It's a Discord.
It's a Discord group.
Or like the little
Yeah.
cauldron coven is like,
Yeah,
the
it's
little
cute.
kids doing cute things. It's not literally a coven.
Yeah.
I think most of the things you see like that are used for marketing purposes and are fun. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that,
I think the idea of covens also makes me a little weary. Not that they are all like this, because I literally do not know.
Yeah.
But like hive mentality kind of freaks me out.
No, me too.
Like I don't need to exist in an echo chamber. And okay, like I'm going to date myself right here, but like I was around when Facebook groups were like a big fucking deal,
Yeah.
right? And like being
Yeah.
a like a manager of the group, an admin of
Ooh, and
groups was
the
like
high
a big
priestess
deal. You
of
are
the
the high
group, the
priestess,
admin.
right? And I've been in multiple groups, and a lot of them were like witch focused, where like the admin had a downfall, and like those bitches fell hard. I've seen it happen so many times.
I mean, yeah.
And it's always called a gate. It's something gate.
That's
Like
really
before
funny.
TikTok did it, we were doing it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's another thing too, is I think, and again, we are not in covens, so we don't know for sure, but some of these covens do have hierarchies.
Yeah.
Not all, but some. And I'm not down with that. Like,
It's
I'm
not
not,
for me.
it's not for me to have an appointed leader of a group that I practice with magically.
Fearless leader.
That's a little cult-y to me.
I agree.
That's a little too close to
It's
the
too
line.
close.
I'm not saying
And-
it is.
and maybe it's not at all.
It's probably not, and it's probably well maintained, and everyone is consenting, and it's fine. But I think it's very easy for these things to turn. And in the way that we teach people in terms of self-empowerment, self-navigation, discernment, I don't recommend that people practice or organize their thoughts around someone having a hierarchy above them. I don't think it's healthy.
I agree.
It's just not the way that I personally teach or recommend people, especially start out their spiritual journey.
Yeah, you need to build up
No.
your own faculties and your own self-awareness and your own discernment.
Yeah.
I think before
Yes,
you
we
join
think.
a space like that.
Yeah.
And also like where there is power, there will always be abuse of power.
Yeah.
And again, it's not going to be in every single circle, but even if you think about like that like Gerald Gardner did and like Aleister Crowley, like there was so much abuse and assault that happened in a lot of these spaces, and that happened towards primarily women.
Yeah.
And it's just it scares me.
It scares me.
It scares me.
Yeah.
But I personally would like love to hear from someone who's been in covens. I would love to hear about your like good experiences, your terrible experiences, neutral ones. Like, so please email us because
Yeah,
we
we're
would love
curious.
to know more from folks who have actually done the thing, because we are certainly solitary practitioners.
Yeah. I wonder how people in covens view solitary practitioners, because
Right?
there is
They're like, ew, those weirdo loners.
like, wow, they well, no, I think maybe what it is, I mean, look, when you get more people together to do a ritual or a spell, there is a different sort of vibration that comes off from that. And I don't know that it's more powerful in my opinion, but I think it's definitely a different kind of
different.
vibe. It's more of like a party vibe, you know, like you can
Yeah.
feel it bounce off of other people, like your intention, and it, to some people that may feel like it's, you know, stronger, or, you know, it's a group effort.
It's definitely
And it makes it more
different.
powerful. But I think maybe that's the draw too, like magically for people. Like, why would you join a coven? Well, I'm going to amplify everything I'm doing because it's with other people. And there is
Yeah.
something to be said about when I've been in spaces where with other witches, like a lot of other witches, it like brings me to tears sometimes. And I'm talking about like markets and things like that are actually authentically witch focused, which are rare.
Yeah.
When there's like-minded people around, it is really intoxicating.
Yeah,
even for
it
me.
is. It's like a high.
Yeah, it really is, and when it's a positive thing, it's really nice and powerful. So I get that draw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm wondering if people in covens are like, man, you're really missing out on
Yeah.
XYZ. Like, I wonder what the other side of the coin is.
There is definitely something to like when many gather toward a common goal.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, there's a spectrum within that as well,
Yes.
because, you know, one side of the spectrum is what we experienced in your backyard that night.
Yeah.
And then like another side of the spectrum is when I filmed a show. You should go check it out. Season 2.
Yes.
The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Please.
The magic episode.
Kaylin is in it with some other lovely people.
Yes, there was this moment at the end, and I don't even know if they showed that part on the show, but like we lit a cauldron and we started like, we just like instinctively started like chanting.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we were saying.
Yeah.
But it just kind of like, bleh, like came out of us, and we kept going. We had called in the directions, and I was like, whoa, do you feel that?
Yeah. No,
and it was
for
like,
sure.
it was wild. I was like, oh, that's
It's
kind of
fun.
cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a happy medium between. I like doing projects like that where it's like moments in time, and then we
Yes.
go, and then we come back, and then we go.
Yes.
We do our own thing. I really like that. I like collaborating with other people a lot when you can trust them and things. But maybe there's a balance between doing projects like that and then going home and doing your own thing for the
Yeah.
most part. That's probably how I like to operate.
Me too.
You know?
My brain needs that
It
just
needs
me time.
Just me time, definitely.
Hiccups. Do we want to answer some questions?
Yeah. Let's answer some questions.
Someone asked how we're doing.
Oh, thank you.
First of all,
Thank you for
thank
asking. Thank you for asking. You want to go first?
You know, I am alive. I am navigating existing during climate crisis and late stage capitalism while also trying to embrace my delusions.
Yeah.
And
that.
it's moments like this when we're doing the show and like other special moments too that it's like, oh, life is okay. Like life
Yeah.
is actually pretty good.
Yeah, like this is great.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. Besides having weird dragon baby dreams, I've been having really up and down days. Like
Yeah.
I've been really trying to like feel joy in my life, and that means maybe I sleep in a little bit. Maybe I, don't finish everything that I need. I'm trying to let go of the.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. I'm trying to let go of the really strict perfectionism things I put on myself. Like, this is how much work you need to get done. This is all this. This is all this. Because it's never going to go away. And yeah, I'm doing it because I need money, because capitalism. But I watched a thing, I don't know if you posted it, about what people regret the most when they die. And look, let's listen to those people, because they're really doing some deep reflection.
Yeah.
And one of the things was, I wish I worked less. I wish I didn't. And I'm just like, yes. So I'm trying to work less. It's really hard. It's really hard.
Because it's scary.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I have really good days, and I have days where like little things will trip me up, and then I'll feel stupid for those things tripping me up, and I'll be mean to myself, and it's all just very Laura being mean to Laura because of abuse and the stupid cult I was in for 2 years. That we
Totally.
talked about on the cult episode.
Check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah. And just me as a person. So, yeah.
I'm proud of you for sleeping in.
Yeah, I really, that's like a little thing that's just, yeah, I still do work when I sleep in my bed. I'm just like, but I'm just more like,
Yeah.
whatever,
That's good.
It's nice. So, I'm alive too.
Help, I'm alive.
Help, I'm alive. Oh, that's a good song.
Heart's been beating like a hammer.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, there's lots of good questions. I'm going to
Ooh.
take this one. How can you tell when you need a reading, or how can you tell when you're being overly reliant on readers?
That's a good question.
I think if you want a reading, that's okay. I'm at a point where I defer to my spirits first, because I'll see readings. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They do this. That's cool. My guys are like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I do that when I'm shopping too.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a reading, but I mean, I would check the frequency that you're doing it at.
Yeah.
Literally, just
are you in a state of panic? Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, are you doing it every day? That's probably too much.
Yeah.
How much money do you have a budget for your readings that you're like, okay, I'm going to allow myself like $100 a month for my readings? And
which is, I think, if you've got that kind of money to spend, that's a totally decent budget. Yeah.
people do worse things.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, are you staying within the boundary you set for yourself, literally financially?
Yeah.
That might be a good checkpoint.
Absolutely. And I think, some of the ways you can tell you're becoming overly reliant is you're breaking your budget. And if you continue to do it more and more frequently, that's probably a sign that you need to take a step back. And also, when you are struggling to make any decisions on your own without consulting a reader, that's when it's too much. An excellent reader will empower you to trust yourself and remind you that you are capable of making good decisions away from their table.
Yeah.
And if you are finding that all of your power is being turned over to this person or persons, it's time for a break. Also, like, I think readings can be addictive, just like anything else. We can form like a mental addiction to just about anything because humans are going to human. And so, like, when it starts causing more harm in your life than help, then it's probably time to reassess.
It's not an uncommon addiction to have, like psychics and mediums and readers.
Totally, like
It's not
Christy
uncommon.
Carlson Romano.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about that. If you've listened to this and you're like, yeah, actually, I do feel better when I practice alone, or if I just get out if you can safely, you know. Yeah, because I do think a lot of like new witches and because witchcraft is commodified like crazy these days. A lot of the witch influencers' goal is to become like wealthy and well-known. And that breeds cult leaders. And especially with spiritual things, we've talked about this before, they're going to try and put themselves on a pedestal above you, and you become a follower instead of like a member of a community. And that's where it gets dangerous, slippery slope into cult mode, and some of those are masquerading as covens. I don't know any specific ones, but I know they're out there. Or just the way we've talked about using your discernment when dealing with spiritual practitioners, this goes into that too. It does also affect when you're a member of a coven, because ultimately what Caitlin and I want you to know is that you are powerful enough to be a magical person on your own, if that is your choice. And you're enough. You're enough. You're unique and you're powerful. And it's hard for me sometimes, and I probably for you too, like, because we feel empowered with ourselves, and like we know that not a lot of people feel like that. It's really, people are sort of,
took a lot of work, friends.
It took a lot of work, but we're aware, we have that awareness for whatever reason, and we want to impart that onto you, because not everyone feels that way, and we need to remember that. And I just want everybody to know that, like, that's why we do the show.
Literally why we do this show.
Why I write any book I'm writing, or do anything that I'm doing, or anything.
That's why I teach all my classes. Exactly.
Yeah, is because we want to empower the individual to have autonomy over their magical practice. Period. End of story. And then once you have that, make good decisions for yourself, whatever that may be. Joining a coven, not joining a coven. But starting out when you feel down and someone promises you the world, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So just be careful and know that you're very powerful, and there is a spark inside you, and it's always there for you. It's true. It's true.
We love you.
Here, I need to hug the emotional support cell phone squishmallow. Her name's Becky. That's what the tag says. Becky with an I.
Becky with an I.
Becky with an I.
I love that.
Oh, do it. It felt really good.
I'm Katie with an I.
It's nice, right?
Becky.
Sponsor us, Squishmallow.
Please.
And
we just want a
we
toy
just
company
want toys.
and a pizza company to sponsor us.
Yeah.
We are humble babes looking for some pizza.
Some pizzies and some squishies. Give me some pizzies and some squishies, because I need sensory support.
Just a couple of neurodivergent baddies.
Telling you to be nice to yourself.
Be nice to yourself.
And it's okay to have an emotional support stuffed animal.
Absolutely. Never too old.
Well,
Well,
that was great.
this was great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Goodbye.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Caitlin Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Raub. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at LadyMoonCo, and you can find Caitlin at caitlin.grania.